Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, it could be afternoon, actually, where you are, but welcome to today's Thursday Frequency. My name is Ron Nagy, and we have a great show planned for you today, talking about the product bus, edge delivery commerce. So bring my co-conspirator on stage here, Lars. How are you doing today?
Good to see you. And I can tell you it's most definitely afternoon here. It's
Yeah.
5 p.m. for me. So
Exactly. On two sides of the planet that we are.
yes.
Yeah. So I guess let's bring on our guests for today. We've got Sagar and we've got Dylan. So welcome, guys. How are you guys doing?
Excellent, thanks.
Good.
Yeah,
we are all covering different places of the planet, essentially, right? You guys are on the east of the US and Canada.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Right on. All right. Okay. So product bus. What are we going to talk about today?
Yeah. Let's get into it. So edge commerce, that's what we're calling it. By the way, yeah. So my name is Sagar Sane. I am one of the senior engineers on AEM Engineering, and we'll talk about edge commerce today, also known as product bus previously, but we'll get into the details here. So what is edge commerce? We'll get into kind of a high-level details around it, and then talk about the architecture, how it works, what is available, what do you configure, and then I want to have at least 15-20 minutes at the end to do a demo of a site we have built to show some other functionality. So that's my plan today, and
Great.
We'll get going. So.
Okay. That sounds good. And then we've got Dylan here, who is providing backup and support.
Yep.
What do you do, Dylan?
I am an engineer on the Edge Delivery Services team. I've been focusing on edge commerce for, I guess, going on like 4 or 5 months now. So we've brought a couple customers live on it, and yeah, we're pretty excited by it.
That's very cool. All right. So are you ready to jump into the presentation portion?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right, let's do it. So, what will we learn today, right? We'll talk about what is edge commerce. We'll get into a bit of the architecture. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I want to make sure we spend a little bit of time at the end on a demo to show some of the cool things live. Before we do that, kind of getting into the kind of technical details, where does edge commerce fit? So the use cases here are that you want to build EDS native commerce experiences. So there were ways to do that in the past, using overlays and things like that. But we are building, kind of coming up with a native option to building commerce experiences in EDS.
What does EDS native mean?
It integrates with the edge delivery stack, so it is not using overlays or anything like that. It is using AEM network as the routing layer. So I have a technical kind of deep dive later on, which will get into some of those details, but that's what it means at a high level.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You have any commerce or product backend. We are agnostic of what kind of PIM system or product catalog or e-commerce system that you may have. It works with any of them, and you want to co-innovate with us in true EDS fashion. So, as delivery commerce is early access co-innovation right now. So that's another cool thing. So if you've worked with us before on edge delivery services in general, edge commerce follows the same philosophy. So getting into kind of starting to double click a little bit, what is edge commerce? Like I said, it's a native solution to EDS to deliver commerce experiences with consistent performance. So it follows pretty much all of the best practices and performance characteristics of regular edge delivery services pages for product pages as well. What it also does is it standardizes catalog ingestion and product page rendering, um, which is HTML as well as JSON and JSON LD. So it includes structured content by default as well. And it standardizes generating indexes for your product catalog, generating feeds, which are merchant center feeds. So a typical use case for e-commerce customers to have some sort of a downstream integration with third-party systems where they might need these sort of feeds on what products are available on my web channel to be e-commerce enabled and things like that. And of course, it also supports a sitemap generation by default as well. It decouples catalog storage and data ingestion from storefront delivery. So I have a kind of architecture diagram later, which will go into that in more detail. But the catalog storage and data ingestion is separate from storefront delivery and authoring choices. So we'll talk about what that means as well. There are ways to kind of merge or combine product data with authored content, which is again a very common use case for most of e-commerce customers, even in traditional AEM in the past. And another cool thing about this is Edge Commerce also provides some built-in APIs for things like authentication, checkout, orders, customer management, and more. However, you can also use your own storefront APIs if you have them. But we are kind of trying to make it so that it is very easy to deliver, at scale performant commerce experiences in Edge delivery services. And again, as I mentioned before, the availability right now is co-innovation, early access. As Dylan mentioned earlier, we have a couple customers that we went live with this on. I'm working on another customer right now. So yeah, it's pretty cool to get this in front of our customers who are interested in similar use cases and see how it goes. So
yeah. So what I would be interested in is a bit to get a bit better understanding of the status quo, right? So without Edge Commerce, without Product Bus, how would I build a commerce website on Edge delivery today, and what are the problems that I can expect with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Dylan, feel free to jump in. But the way to build commerce experiences in Edge delivery services at scale, the option that works at scale right now is using overlays. So using EDS overlay, you essentially can bring your own markup, and we have a app builder based application that allows you to essentially kind of bootstrap a BYOM solution that will, create these product detail pages at scale coming from Adobe Commerce or a third-party system, and publish them to EDS as an overlay.
What does overlay mean? Is that something that I put on the front end of the site?
No. So Edge delivery services overlay is a advanced feature. Well, it's a feature of EDS, which allows you to essentially supplement your standard authoring source. So if you're using document authoring or if you're using AEM for authoring, overlay feature allows you to kind of add a second option where your content could come from. That content could be from any source. It has to follow bring your own markup kind of a standard so that Edge delivery services can ingest it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what it means.
So it's overlaid at preview and publish time and not at delivery time. Is that the correct understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the option that is available at scale. You, of course, this won't work in kind of big product catalog use cases, but you can always create your product pages and landing pages and category pages manually in your authoring source. Mm-hmm. That's of course an option that is available, but that, as you can kind of imagine, won't scale great for customers who have hundreds of thousands of products that they want to make available on the web.
Right.
But that is technically an option that's available.
Okay. And I've heard of Adobe Commerce drop-ins. How does that relate?
Yeah. So Adobe Commerce drop-ins are going to be your primarily your front-end blocks, I suppose, that allow you to interact with Adobe Commerce directly for all of your transaction capabilities, as well as returning pricing and things like that. But those are your front-end components or blocks that you would integrate with. They would generally need to be combined with either the overlay option or Edge Commerce to have a complete solution.
Okay.
Cool. Dylan, anything to add?
No, I mean, not too much. I think one of the other differences to call out with the BOIOM approach or overlay approach is that it requires a preview and publish to get those products live. So you have some sort of backend system, the product gets updated there, you have to detect that product has been updated, and then you have to go ahead and preview and publish those. So there's a bit of a delay it takes to get from the update in your backend system to actually seeing the update on the page. With Product Bus, as soon as that that piece of data has changed, you can get it immediately live very fast.
Great.
So that's a big difference as well.
And you've been in customer projects where this has been a problem, right?
For sure. Yeah, we've seen that issue for sure. And I guess the other thing to call out too as well is obviously the customer has to manage their app builder instance. They have a quota that they get as part of their license, but that's also something they have to factor in as well. If you've got 2 million products and you're calling App Builder that much, there's a cost there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll double click a bit on each of the 4 end-to-end kind of phases or kind of components, I would say, for Edge Commerce, starting with ingestion at the top. So as I mentioned at the start, you get a way here to have a standardized format in which your product data can be ingested as an ETL process, extract, transform, load process into Product Bus using the Helix Commerce API. Then you have some async workers in the backend that, if configured, will generate indexes for that product data, as well as sitemap and merchant feed, which I mentioned, were some of the key components as well, and ingest your media as well into the media bus.
Okay.
Then delivery.
Is that the same indexing structure that we would have for publishing pages, or how does that compare?
Yeah, the index format is the same. The indexes are generated using a different configuration at the mixer level, at the AEM.network level, but the indexes generated are the same JSON format that traditional EDS indexes are.
Okay.
And it also follows the same design architecture as Edge Delivery and how we handle indexing there in terms of tenant isolation and noisy neighbor issues. It's all handled or architected the same way.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we have the delivery component of Edge Commerce. So when a user is requesting or an end user is requesting for a product page, similar to the Edge Delivery Services approach, we have a product rendering pipeline in Edge Commerce, which combines your product data from Product Bus, as well as authored enrichment or marketing content from Edge Delivery sources. So again, it could be document authoring, SharePoint, Google Drive, AEM, doesn't matter. And the AEM.network routing layer manages the routing between when should the requests be handled by Edge Commerce versus regular other pages should be handled by EDS or Edge Delivery AEM.live.
Okay, and now I'm going to pretend I've never heard of AEM Network despite having committed to it. So I know of AEM Page, right, which is where we, as authors, can see our previews. I know of aem-live, which is what I'm using as the backend as the origin for my CDN, where the live pages. So what in the world is aem.network?
Yeah. So I'll start, and Dylan, feel free to jump in. But aem.network is a very simple declarative routing layer that sits on top of aem.live, aem.page, or in this case, product or edge commerce as well. And it allows you to kind of manage a few things. So the one thing that it allows you to manage is route what pages will or what URLs will be routed to either product bus or edge delivery services. It also allows you to manage configurations like your indexing configurations, your sitemap configurations for edge commerce specifically. And there are some other non-edge commerce use cases that it also handles, like optionally inlining fragments and things like that. But that's kind of what it does at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes out of the fact that right now, edge commerce is a separate thing than edge delivery. i.e., there's not a single pipeline that serves edge delivery content and these product pages as well. And that's just kind of the nature of working in this VIP way, where we're testing out our theories. We're not ready to put it right into the product yet. And so we need some way to make it very easy for a customer to just set a single origin and not set .live. They can instead set aem.network, and we'll help you route your content, whether to edge delivery or to the product bus. We could see a future, though, where, of course, it could all get rolled into edge delivery, and the future of AEM network is up in the air at that point. But right now, this is a very important piece to making it all work together seamlessly.
Right. So AEM network is the thing that does where we previously have spent an hour of writing a Cloudflare worker or an hour of writing a VCL configuration in Fastly, or spend 3 hours clicking around in CloudFront or Akamai. Is that
exactly
right? Okay.
Very simple routing configuration that you can set there.
Yep. And the last component here is the buy or the front end transaction capabilities. So as I mentioned in the intro, we have some APIs that Edge Commerce comes with for authentication, checkout, orders, and customer management. At this point, cart management is client side for our customers, so we have not done anything else on that front, but it does exist. So those are the 4 main components of Edge Commerce. And I'll get into each of them in a little bit more detail as we kind of understand some of the specifics, but I can start with ingest here. So ingestion, get into a little bit of a view of what ingestion step or process in Edge Commerce does. So I'll start on the kind of top hand here for the diagram. So when customer has some sort of a backend that they want to ingest product data from, it could be any PIM system, catalog service, it could be Adobe Commerce, it doesn't really matter, as I mentioned. The customer would write some sort of an ingestion script or an ETL script to normalize the product catalog that they have in their source system into the schema that Helix Commerce API exposes for storing products in product bus. So we have a published or a documented product schema which supports variants as well. So it allows you to kind of model simple and configurable products at this time, as well as it allows you to add other data like product specifications or, of course, descriptions and things like that also in the schema as well. And another very kind of important point of the product schema as well is it allows you to either supply your own structured data for product bus, or product bus will generate structured data which is JSON LD for your products automatically as well. So those are the things that your ingestion script would be responsible to do, is normalize your source data into the standardized schema that we support. And then,
I have a question here. You are writing, this is going through event or cron triggers.
Yes.
So if I have 2 million if I have 2 million products, the best way to do this is to run a cron job every hour and dump all of them?
Yeah, well, it really depends on what your source system's capabilities are or what your triggering mechanism supports. What we have done for one customer, for example, they are using AWS Lambda for doing or triggering this ingestion script. So they are doing it on an event basis. So it doesn't have to be a cron, although that could be the brute force approach that we could take. But just to streamline it more, ideally we would use an eventing model if possible.
Yeah. So across the customer base, and I know that we have on Edge delivery services, we have a couple of customers who've been trying to do this, right? Every time they publish something, let's clear the entire cache and republish everything. How is with the existing Edge Commerce VIP customers? What patterns do you see them adopting?
So the cache management specifically, well, I guess I'll talk about it in two pieces. So the Helix Commerce API itself exposes a put API, which allows you to ingest products as a JSON. And anytime you kind of put it, we don't have an update as such. We will just kind of overwrite the data that we get in the JSON input. But on the product pages side itself, we follow the same cache management for product pages like we do for Edge delivery. So we have automated, cache invalidation support for all of our existing bring your own CDN providers, the 5 of them. The same is supported for Edge Commerce pages as well.
Okay.
But I think to your question, Lars, I think we're seeing a mix of both right now. Ideally, though, the event-based way is the way that we want to go, and we suggest customers go to avoid having to completely republish your entire catalog. I think the one of the reasons for this ETL though is, of course, every customer has a different PIM, a different ERP. They're bringing in different data from all these disparate systems, and so it's very hard to generalize an ETL that we could just offer to one solution wouldn't work for every customer. But I will call out that the Adobe Commerce team is working on, if your data is in catalog service, they are working on a way to have that data automatically get ingested into the product bus. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And if not, I would probably have Claude Code write my ingestion script. Right?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And normally I do this in the beginning of the slide. I ask you to expand all of your acronyms. So we have PIM, which is Product Information Management, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Then we have ERP. I'm familiar with that. That is Enterprise Resource Planning. And if you are keeping your product data in there, you should question your life choices, but that's happening.
It's for certain types of product fields. So like inventory, for example, might be needed, or pricing might come from there. But
Right. And we have ETL, which is Extract, Transform, Load. Right? So
that's right.
The favorite 3 letters of people who like to move gigabytes of data around every hour. And so what exactly is the merchant feed XML?
Yeah. So the merchant feed XML is a standardized XML format for literally a feed of your products. It has certain attributes that we have preset, and Dylan, correct me if we have a way to configure that now. But if your product is in stock when it gets ingested in Edge Commerce, then we will generate a feed which includes your SKU, the SKU of the product, the name, an image, and a couple other attributes. I don't recollect right now, but that's what it generates, which is a common use case for e-commerce customers to have it be made available to third-party kind of vendors that they might work with. Like my commerce customer might want to have this feed be available to Amazon or, I don't know, eBay or something, where they want to show where the product is available. So that's what it is used for.
So this is where, when I'm trying to find a mountain bike component for my bike and I look it up, and then there's literally 10 vendors that have the exact same thing that seemingly comes from the exact same source, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally, it should come from the exact same source. Yes. So
Yeah.
that's what this merchant feed will provide.
Nice.
So just to kind of round this out, we have the product sitemap that gets generated when the product is ingested, and it is kept up to date. Whenever you have changes to your product bus data, whether you are adding or changing or removing products as well, then your sitemap would stay up to date. Again, same with Edge Delivery Services pages. And if configured, then your default index JSON file will also be generated and kept up to date for your products in the product bus. So this is the ingestion process. The indexing process, it's kind of talked about it already, but I'll do a little bit of a summary here, that the indexer will generate a searchable index based on configurable field mappings. Now, what I mean by that is we have a way in the AEM.network configuration and routing layer to specify which fields from my product schema should be made available in the index. So depending on your use case, you might need all of the variants to be made available of your product. You might need more than just the SKU and the name of the product. You might need description. You might need some other things. So that is the configuration that you can do, and your indexer will generate and keep that index up to date.
Okay, cool.
And of course, the feed outputs are derived from the index data, kind of goes without saying. So everything is kept up to date. And just to call it out, like if you have some mapping changes, so if you add certain fields to the index, for example, then you would have to trigger a reindex, which would be just run your ETL script again and would reingest and reindex your product data accordingly. The delivery. So the delivery component of your Edge Commerce layer here. So I have a view here from an end user perspective. So the end user is coming in, from a customer CDN. This would be the BYO CDN that you would use for Edge delivery in general. As Dylan mentioned earlier, AEM.network would be the origin that your customer CDN is configured to, and the URL-based routing in there would specify or determine where or when is the product rendering from Edge Commerce being handled. So the left-hand side here is, in my case, I have anything that starts with /products from in my URL will get routed to the product pipeline in Edge Commerce to render the pages, as well as the JSON of those products as well. So that's kind of the key component here. We also support, when the product pipeline is kind of executed, we also support the way to merge authored content with product pages, as I mentioned earlier. But that's kind of what it does at a high level. So everything will depend on your AEM.network configuration, so that everything else that you don't want Edge Commerce to handle will get handled with their respective systems. So Edge Delivery Services in this case for any other pages, or if you have a commerce backend or Edge Commerce APIs that do other things for other paths, would be handled over there. So that, and then this is an example of what a configuration looks like for a Edge Commerce implementation. So this is the example I will show in my demo in a little bit as well. But what I have here is a JSON-based configuration for the AEM.network. So it has a simple mixer config here, which is going to take in a few patterns where you can specify, what patterns are going to be routed to Edge Commerce. Anything else that is not specified here will, by default, get routed to Edge Delivery Services origin for that specific org and site for Edge Delivery Services. And below, you will see an example of the product indexer config. So in this case, we are indexing the name, SKU, path, price, the final price, brand in this case, and an image. So those are the properties that are configured here. So just to show an example of what can be done. So this is pretty simple. It is deployment-less. It doesn't need a deployment to kind of, you just have to update the JSON and then it will reflect automatically. There is no deployment needed. Okay, the last part, the buy part. So as I mentioned in the intro as well, we have made available some optional Edge Commerce native APIs. So those are the ones that we are building for our customers who want that kind of functionality. So authentication, we have a passwordless login functionality where we specify authentication and authenticated APIs as a result. We also have some checkout APIs as well as payments APIs. So just to support the whole end-to-end flow where you want to actually be able to place an order, integrating with your backend systems, whether it is Adobe Commerce, whether it is any other third-party commerce system, and then your payment providers as well. So we support that as well. And then we have customer management APIs too. So another common use case for a lot of e-commerce customers in general is they want their customers to be able to manage their own profile, their addresses, be able to view their order history and things like that. So we support that as well natively in Edge Commerce.
Okay. Yeah, I think the only thing I would add there is just also around pricing rules. So catalog price rules, coupons, promotions. We have support for all of those things in Edge Commerce. And then in terms of payment providers, we support the big ones like PayPal and Apple Pay, Express Checkout, Chase, Affirm, Buy Now, Pay Later. So there's a bunch of providers that we support now, but we're obviously open to supporting more. We just need a VIP customer to ask for it, but the plumbing is there, the architecture is there to hook this up to any payment provider.
So this little gray box is why I had to do the PCI training. Is that correct, Dylan?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, but we are definitely not in the business of hosting any sort of payment pages. We don't want to get into that. So it's all redirect based flows or these highly protected express checkout flows with Apple Pay, that kind of thing. Yeah, we don't want to take any credit cards on our site. And this in the same way that we really don't want to do passwords either. We don't want to store passwords. Passwordless login flow. We could look at adding, OAuth with Gmail or Google or other providers. We could do something like that, but we don't really want to get in the business of storing passwords or taking credit cards.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So, and just to round it off, you can always use your own backend, right? So, but these are the available APIs, or you can mix and match as well, depending on the customer's use case. So before I get into the demo, I will just kind of summarize end-to-end on what we talked about so far when it relates to Edge Commerce. So I have an end-to-end view here to just round it out, hopefully. So we start with customers' data, right? So whether it is in whatever system they have it in. Using the ingestion script or the ETL, we would ingest that product data in a standardized format in Edge Commerce using the Helix Commerce API. Then the Helix Commerce API, as it gets the product data, it will go through and store it in product bus. It will, based on your configurations, run your indexers and generate your feeds and XMLs, as I mentioned earlier in the details, in the deep dive. The product pipeline is the key here. So when the requests are being made for your product data, if you have authored product content for your products, then that would get merged and combined with the product data and generate your HTML pages or your JSON endpoints for the products, which has that data configured. And then, when the user is coming in and requesting for your products based on the AEM network configuration, would either hit the product pipeline for rendering pages or just route to your existing backends, whether it is edge delivery or any other third party for rendering rest of the pages. So this is like kind of the end-to-end view of what we spoke about from left to right.
And of course, one obvious piece that we didn't really say though is the product pipeline is aware of promotions, price rules, stuff like that as well. That's a very important piece. That if you put a product on sale, that needs to be represented in the structured data of the page, and obviously you want to see the sale price on the product. So it is aware of all the promotions that are active within Edge Commerce, and will render them appropriately.
Okay. And just to kind of end it, right? So what about the front end? And there was a question at the start from Lars on what about drop-ins? In general, we have kept it agnostic of any particular tool to be used or any particular blocks to be used. We just want to make sure that you follow edge delivery best practices. You can use the AI skills that we have that really will accelerate your front-end creation, regardless of what, whether you want to use drop-ins, whether you want to use, custom blocks or anything like that. And then, of course, goes without saying, you can vibe code your own front-end blocks as well. So, but this is the current state of the front-end. And I don't know, Dylan, if you have anything to add, but that's all I had for this part, at least.
No, I mean, not too much. I think it's pretty, we've seen with a couple customers that they can get a PDP live, or not live, but like 80% of their PDP going in under a week, especially with Claude and with what's going on these days with AI. It's pretty seamless to get something to a pretty good state pretty fast. So yeah, I would just call that out.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So just to recap before I get into the demo. Edge Commerce allows you to ingest product data easily. It has a super fast product pipeline, or the delivery pipeline, that combines product data with authored content, as well as your promotion rules and card price rules, if you have them. And then automated merchant feeds, indexes, sitemaps, and the optional native storefront APIs allow you to have a complete Edge Commerce or a commerce implementation on Edge delivery services, kind of built end-to-end on Edge delivery services platform. And of course, it is the Edge Commerce product right now is co-innovation and early access right now, as we talked about earlier as well. So that kind of rounds things up.
I have one quick, I have a question from the audience, but I also wanted to ask, is there who do we contact you through LinkedIn for the VIP co-innovation early access, or what's the process there?
Yeah, if you are an existing Adobe partner, or if you are a customer, we suggest or we recommend that you use our existing channels for Edge delivery services. So we have in a Slack workspace or Teams where we are connected with most of our customers for Edge delivery services. So we recommend that you reach out there, or you can reach out to your Adobe rep as well if that is feasible to you. But you can directly reach out to us in the support channels in Slack or Teams would be preferred.
Awesome. And so we have Patrick asks, how do we compare it against Commerce Optimizer and Commerce Drop-ins? Sort of similar to what I think Lars asked in the beginning about drop-ins and the comparison there.
Right. Yeah. So, and Dylan, feel free to add here, but the Edge Commerce capability is built for generating commerce experiences on the web, meaning it includes creating product pages. It includes standardizing your pages so that they are, SEO compliant, it includes structured data, and it has the optional APIs. So since right now we are in early access, we have not made it mandatory that you have to use drop-ins or you don't. It kind of depends on the customer. But that's kind of where we are at right now. Dylan, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, the drop-ins are a way to get to a PDP fast or a PLP, and so I think that you could totally use them, but you can also just write the edge delivery way and get to a PDP pretty fast as well. I'm not a commerce optimizer expert, but I believe that it could be used in this flow with the product bus. But we still need to work a little bit closer with that team to figure out what that looks like for the customer. But of course, we would want to support that use case as well with optimizer. We don't do any optimization. That's one thing. So Adobe Commerce Optimizer will help you optimize your catalog. That's not something that's not a problem that the product bus is trying to solve. We're trying to help you with go from PIM to page as fast as possible and deliver the fastest experiences for your customers. So that's our primary goal right now.
I didn't know you were in marketing, Dylan. That was a great from PIM to page. I love it. All right, Sagar, do you want to jump into the demo?
Yes, sir. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. Think I'm still sharing. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I have a site here which kind of just built to showcase some end-to-end capabilities. Well, mostly on Edge Commerce. So a fictional site or fictitious site rather that we have built for just having some products be available on this site. So this is already configured with Product Bus. So I'm going to kind of start here and then show some of the capabilities and then add a couple of products to show you how easy it is to get your product data on a page quickly. So I have certain products that I've already ingested and some very simple, really vibe coded front-end blocks that allows you to have a configuration or a configurable product like this. So we have, you can see here the URL is changing as I'm changing my configuration. I just have one here, but of course you can have multiple variants if you need to, or multiple options rather for your product. There is a very basic client-side add to cart functionality that we have made available as well. And if you go to the JSON representation of this page, you will notice that we have, zoom in here, the product available as JSON by default. You don't have to do anything, where all of the product data is made available. So this is a use case where we see either you want to use this client side for additional data that you want, or you can use it for other channels as well. So if you have other channels where you need specific product data, you get a JSON endpoint for every product that you have in the catalog.
Yeah, maybe I would just quickly call out there. Yeah. I know it looks feels a little odd to be seeing HTML and JSON there. Mm-hmm. So what we see is that definitely there's a lot of customers with who have a PIM, and maybe there's some sort of rich text editor in that PIM, and they want to manage their data that way. And so it's important that data is server-side rendered. And so the description field is your opportunity to put whatever HTML you want into the page, and we will render that server side and return that. So we've seen customers utilize this because I think it's kind of an important thing when we're talking about these other systems where maybe the workflow is they're managing some amount of content or specs within a different system, and so that's how we can get that in there. But of course, I'm sure Sagar is going to show the authored content as well, where you could have your content in DA or SharePoint or AEM and get that in as well, server side rendered.
Yes.
And Dylan, you just stole my. I was preparing such a fantastic joke about headless content management systems and how much they love putting HTML into JSON, and you stole my punchline. So
sorry. But I knew it was coming. That's why.
But Sagar, I have a question for you on the product images. So on your side, you have product images that are plain white text on a black background. For my side, I have product images that are plain black text on a white background. Do you support that as well?
Yes, we do. I actually have a product. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
With this one, I think, which has exactly that.
Ooh, look at this. Okay. Well, I would say this is it. This is the welcome deviation from the usual AI generated product images that we would see. So I appreciate your commitment to minimalism here.
Yeah, sure thing. I forgot to mention one thing with regards to the product HTMLs themselves, because it is a very important point, right, or piece of our Edge Commerce product pipeline, is the structured data. So we generate structured data by default based on the best practices, that we need to support. So based on a product, whether it is simple or configurable, you would see offers. Right. That would show up. You can also extend it. We have a way to extend the JSON LD with additional data that we don't generate, but your business might need. So we support that as well, which is nice. But yeah, this is an important piece. I wanted to make sure it's called out that this is generated by default.
Yeah, and I hate to admit it, some of my best friends are bots, and they are going to love this. So it's great to see the JSON LD right on the wire.
Yep. Just to show the index, I'm sure you all are familiar with indexes in general, but just to ram home the point here that it is this in a similar format as your regular Edge Delivery Services indexes. So I have a default index configured for my products, as you can see. The SKU, URL, title, price, image, and last modified, all of that gets indexed. And you can add other fields depending on your use case that are there in the product data that you do want to index. Similarly, the merchant feed, center feed.xml is a fun-looking XML that is a standardized format for kind of feeds like this that we also generate out of the box. And it includes the title, ID, description, images, and things like that, and also the availability too. So this is the attribute that we also kind of take as an input in the product ingestion. So that is made available here too.
Yeah. And the XML namespace URL says Google, but I trust that other aggregators are ingesting exactly the same format, right?
Yeah, I believe this is the one that we have right now for our customers, but Dylan, correct me, but I'm sure, I don't know enough about the namespaces and if they are standardized or not, but if they are not, I'm sure we can work with the customers to support others.
Yeah, so this is the Google Merchant Center feed. And I believe there are other providers do support this feed as well. There's a lot to the feed. I will be the first to admit that there's more that we could be adding here. We're just waiting for a VIP customer who has this requirement, and we will fill in all the gaps where there are. But we have the ability to generate this is the main point.
Okay, and just to show the authoring side. So the example I have here, this HD product, the product data is on the top of the page here. But if you see here on the bottom, I have DA content in this case. So I named it here just to kind of separate things out. But I have additional marketing content that I've authored using my existing blocks, cards, and heroes, and whatever else. FAQs are another common use case for this. So this would be authored by the authors in, for example, DA. So this is, the experience workspace side of my site, where all I have to do is create a document in my authoring side with the same SKU name, product URL name, sorry, as my actual product page. And that is how we just look up if a document exists that is already published at that same URL. And if it is, we will just merge it with the product data and make it available live.
And there's fun little things we support as well. So like if you were to put metadata in this document, that would end up on the actual response as you would expect. What else? And of course, like last mod dates, like that all has to be factored in. We're talking about two different resources here. We're talking about the product data itself as well as the authored content. And so we'll return the correct last mod date if the authored content was updated before the product data. And of course, if you update the mark authored content here, then we will purge the caches for they're tied together, the same caches. So it all works together really, really nicely.
And the one last thing on this before I kind of show just adding a new product real quick is the config. The config that we were talking about earlier for aem.network is just a public config. So you will see there at the config.json endpoint on what it looks like for this specific site, which happens to be the same that I had in my slide before. But you will see that that's what is available and configured for my use case here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of actually I didn't show the authentication, but you all can imagine I have a simple passwordless login flow. So if I just do a login here real quick, it should take just a minute or so. I will get a two-factor code on my email. So I'm just looking for that. And if I do 462. I'll get signed in. So what this is actually doing is Edge Commerce is creating a token for the user, and it is adding it on the browser session storage, I believe, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what that gives you is, I have that example here as well, is the ability to then use our customer APIs. So if you wanted to add a new address, of course you can sign out, but if you have orders that you have placed, then that would kind of be available here too, using the orders API that we provide. But that's just to show an example. Pretty straightforward, but just to show how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I would add there that there's basically two types of emails that we will send out right now. One, of course, is this login email, and then there's, of course, transaction emails, which show all the products you ordered and your billing address, shipping address, all that kind of stuff. And the fun part is that they can be authored and created in Edge Delivery. So you can have a document that represents your transaction email. There's some certain markers that you can put in there where you want to put the billing info or the shipping info or the subtotals, all that kind of stuff. So it's completely under your control. It's very easy to translate. You just have different places where you can put the French version or the Spanish version or whatever it is. So it very much ties into the Edge Delivery way of doing things, even for these emails.
So real quick, Dylan. So the emails that get sent out, do we have we're using a provider to send those out? There's
yeah.
Okay.
We are, yes. So we're using Amazon SES.
Yep.
Okay. Right on.
Cool. All right. I know we have 7 minutes left, so I wanted to just quickly show adding a new product and how easy it is. So I'm simulating a use case in a simplistic manner here on purpose, so bear with me. But what I am going to do is I have a simple product and a configurable product ready to go as a JSON. And I'll zoom in if I need to here. As a JSON, so this is a simple product which I have normalized to the schema that we support, Edge Mug, and then I have another configurable product with a few variants. It's a hoodie, happens to be a hoodie, which will create this or store this product data, and then you can see within just a couple seconds or a few seconds, the page will be ready to go on the front end. So let me go ahead and ingest these guys. Let me make sure my keys are correct. They should be. So it's created. It already ingested the simple product. And then I'll go ahead and ingest the configurable product here. So both of them are ingested. One is the Edge hoodie and one is the Edge mug. So if I go back to my site, might need to just reload the cache a couple times, but there you go. On the bottom,
Oh,
the accessories was empty before. So I had a product grid block already created and authored to look for accessories, accessories products. And then if I go to the Edge hoodie page and the Edge mug page, you will see the product page is already created. So Edge mug, simple product, Edge hoodie, and then that would be a configurable product. Uses the existing blocks that I've already created to create this experience. So it's pretty quick to, as Dylan said, pim to page as fast as possible.
It's gonna catch, man. It's gonna catch.
So, is there a URL with all of the API documentation that I can give to my coding agent so that my coding agent can tell me if it's worth my time trying this?
Yes. Dylan, do you have that handy, the product bus docs? I can send it out.
I mean, it's definitely still not officially published on aem-live. So I don't know what the rules are there in terms of putting it out publicly, but yeah, I don't know, Lars, you know better than me.
We can make up the rules. I allow it.
Yeah, exactly. Lars is the gatekeeper, so
you know what? If you have the URL handy, paste it, and then Ron can put it on the video. And
Sure.
Okay.
Then all we have to do is remember to put in a redirect when we move it to the final documentation.
Sure.
Location.
Okay. I have the page. I have the overview page here. Dylan, I'll put it in the chat. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's all I had today. I think we're right at time too. So.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we already answered a couple of questions from the live audience, but typically this is the time when people start hammering their keyboards, because there was a question that Ron and I forgot to ask. So if you're hammering, hammer faster, so that we can grow Sagar and Dylan while they're still here. So how many customers do we have live on this already?
I'm aware, I believe there are about 4 different sites live on it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And more in the works.
Yeah, we should be going live with another one next week, if everything aligns with the testing and such. But
so it's still early days. Obviously, the product is we're still working through different features, different things. We know it's not the perfect product right now, but that's why we're in VIP. We want to work with customers to understand your requirements and build features for you in traditional, typical edge delivery fashion. We're not just going to build it for the sake of building it. We're going to wait for a customer to tell us we need this, and then we'll look at adding more features at that time.
Good. Well, it seems there are no more questions incoming. Oh, actually, well, I was getting excited about the new.
Yeah, that was a documentation link. I do apologize.
Here's the draft. You can look at it. While
there you
we're
go.
still offering it.
Yeah.
So I think, well, that leaves me with saying thank you to Dylan and to Sagar for joining us, for giving us the deep dive on Edge Commerce. I especially appreciate the amount of code that I've seen in the demo today, even if it was XML to a certain degree and HTML
and JSON.
Yeah. So thanks for that. And that, I think that leaves me with one last question to Ron, which is, when is the next frequency and what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, so not next week, but the week after, June 18th, we have Lisa Brown joining us, the reigning rock star from Summit, and she's going to talk about models and, things that we do with models. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I've got a
Very
little
cool.
outro video that you'll see the title, but that'll be published out in the next day or two. So we hope to see you there.
Excellent. Then thanks everyone. For everyone on YouTube, see you in 2 weeks. And for Dylan and Sagar, please stay on so that we can upload the video recording.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.